we'll tax you when you higher taxes, we'll borrow when we can't borrow anymore because interest rates go up. We always have this secret tool that the politicians for now 70-some years have used, and that is, if you run out of money, you just go and print it. It makes no sense whatsoever, and that is why I talk about monetary policy and why I talk about how we got off track in 1913 when we established our central bank. I talk about that, and that is the reason I think we need to get rid of the central bank, get rid of the federal government system. The monetary system we have now serves a special interest. The first special interest are the politicians who spend money for other reasons. Then whoever gets the money first, they get the benefit because the money still has value. So if you're on the receiving end, if you're in the military-industrial complex, or if you're in the banking industry or receiving largesse from the government, you'll get the money first. But when it circulates, and as it multiplies as it goes through the banking system, the value of the dollar goes down. And what do? You get high prices. Even some people who think they don't pay much taxes are usually the ones that pay the inflation tax. When your cost of living goes up, when your cost of fuel goes up, cost of medical care goes up, cost of education goes up, that is a tax. It's an invisible tax that people don't clearly understand. But I'll tell you one thing, since we've been talking about it in this past year, I have been pleasantly surprised that a lot of people are understanding it, and they do. You know where they don't understand it? It's in Washington, D.C., and that's why we have the problem. But we need to have a different foreign policy. If we did, we'd bring our troops home. We would end the war in Iraq. It is an unnecessary war. It's undeclared. It wasn't properly declared. We weren't attacked, had nothing to do with 9/11. There were no weapons of mass destruction, and yet we're there. We're there for who knows how long. Senator McCain says if it's necessary, we'll stay for 100 years. What are we going to do? He says, well, we've been 60 years in Korea, so I guess we can stay. He's wrong, because we don't have the money, we don't have the wealth.
Right.
The country's getting poorer.
That's right.
This is how all great nations self-destruct, is they extend themselves too far. This is what happened to the Soviet system. We didn't have to fight the Soviets. They were a powerful, powerful nation with a lot of weapons, but they self-destructed because they spread themselves too thin, and they went bankrupt, and the whole thing collapsed. This is what the dollar going down in value is telling us, that we have extended ourselves too far and that we have to do something. And that something means, it's not very complicated, it means we should and must follow the Constitution.
Yes.
The Constitution is very clear on foreign policy. We have an obligation to have a strong national defense, but we're not supposed to tell everybody else what to do, nor be the policemen of the world. The advice of the founders was sound advice. The advice said, don't get involved in the entangling alliances, don't get involved in the internal affairs of other nations. Now, if we followed that, you know what? We wouldn't even be in the United Nations. We wouldn't need to be in the United Nations. We wouldn't be a member of the United Nations, the IMF, the World Bank. We wouldn't be a member of CAFTA or NAFTA, nor would we accept the idea that we're working toward the North American Union, which we should reject. I believe we would be richer and safer if we brought our troops home. Our national defense could be built up. Today, we have border guards in Iraq, and we forget to take care of our own borders. I say, let's protect our own borders before we worry about the rest of the world. One of the biggest concerns in this country has been, and one of the reasons or excuses to be used to tax us and undermine our personal liberties, has been the threat of terrorism. And it is indeed a problem. There's no doubt about it. It was a major, major event. But if we misinterpret that and say that the reason is because we're free and prosperous and attack our freedom and our prosperity, we are not going to be safer, let me tell you. We have to understand that when we go 6